Derrel Jazz Johnson, MSG Varsity, Fathers and Sons Magazine, RazandJazzSports.com. I'm here with ESPN's Chris Broussard. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thanks. So when we last spoke, we talked about the Knicks struggling.
Still struggling. Something changed? For about a week or two, something changed. No.
So there's a lot of Knicks fans out there who still want to believe. What are some reasons why Knicks fans should believe that this team can still turn it around?
Well, it depends on what your expectations are. If you want to believe that they have a shot to win the Eastern Conference, there's nothing that can happen other than some blockbuster trade, which is unrealistic at the trade deadline. But I've never for one day doubted that the Knicks would make the playoffs. And that's largely because the Eastern Conference is in bad shape right now. And I think both the Nets and the Knicks will make the playoffs. The key for the Knicks is to try to get above that 7th seed. If you finish between 3 and 6, then you should be able to feel confident about getting to the second round. And I still think they can do that. They have one of the best players in the conference and in the league in Carmelo Anthony. You've got experience with Tyson Chandler, a defender. They've had some injuries, but Iman Shumpert's been up and down, but if he can get it together, look, in the Eastern Conference, they still have enough talent. There's no excuse for them not to make the playoffs and even not to get a 6 seed or higher. So they just need to be consistent. And as a Knicks fan, as long as your expectations are realistic and reasonable, I think you still can feel confident, hey, they'll make the playoffs, and if we get it going, we can make the second round.
So let's go across the bridge. You mentioned the Brooklyn Nets, who are also having a disappointing season. With Brook Lopez out, what should Net fans expect from their team?
Well, the Nets have actually played well without Brook, and then nothing against him, but they've gone small. And Kevin Garnett, who was playing power forward before, now he's playing center, and his loss of athleticism is not as big of a factor when he's playing center because he's still athletic for a center. Same thing with Paul Pierce. You move him to the 4, whereas at the 3 he's slow and not athletic anymore. At the 4 he's actually athletic and he's a stretch 4. So they've moved the ball well. Sean Livingston has come in and been a great story. And Darren Williams gets back today, so he played really well next to Livingston in the 2 games that they started together. So things are looking up for the Nets. Again, are they going to get past Miami or Indiana? No. But they are a team that should be looking at that 3 or 4 seed, trying to get home court in the first round and seeing if they can get to the second and seeing if they can have a puncher's chance against Miami or Indiana.
We're here at Madison Square Garden on Dr. King Day. What are some thoughts that come to mind when I mention the name Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?
Man, there's so many thoughts. I mean, what he did for America. A lot of times people just relegate what he did to the African-American community, but he actually did something for America as a whole. America was a very inhumane society at that time, and he brought some humanity to it. In terms of how you treat your fellow man. So Dr. King was not just a blessing for African Americans, he was a blessing for white Americans and Hispanics and Native Americans and Asians and people of all different races and skin colors. So I also, look at Dr. King. Again, people want to say he was just about the dream, but he was a lot deeper than the dream, especially toward the end of his life. He was really talking about economic empowerment for poor people. And, so Dr. King was a lot deeper than a lot of people give him credit for. And I look at his economic empowerment strategies and concerns for the poor as another thing about him that I really admire.
Final question, MVP race. We're coming to the midway point of the season. Who do you have as your top MVP candidates going into the break?
Right now, I haven't thought a lot about it, but I think right now I'd probably say Kevin Durant. I think he's the MVP right now. He's carrying that team without Russell Westbrook. They're having a great season. Paul George would be in the race, but I don't see him right now as the MVP. Like I said, right now it's Kevin Durant. LeBron is still the best player in the world, but the award doesn't always go to the best player in the world. Michael Jordan was the best player for maybe 10 or 12 straight years, maybe his entire career in Chicago, and he only won 5. So Magic Johnson only won 3. So it doesn't always go to the best player. There are a lot of factors that go into it, winning. And, you know, you look at the Heat's record, and I think you'd have to give Oklahoma City and Kevin Durant the advantage in terms of the MVP. But, you know, another guy, and again, not that I'd vote him number 1, but a name you don't hear a lot, LaMarcus Aldridge. Portland's having a stunning season, and he is putting up monster numbers. He's always been about an 8-rebound-a-game guy for his career, and this year he's averaging 11. You know, he's averaging 24 points. He is the engine that drives that team along with Damian Lillard. So I think you have to look at LaMarcus Aldridge as well.
All right, Chris, thanks for your time.
Yep.